So the point is, no, the church and politics has never been separated, never should have been separated, and whatever this firewall of separation they've been talking about really doesn't exist in the Constitution of America.
Well, the Constitution was written on Judeo-Christian values.
That's exactly right.
The separation of church and state in the United States has long been abandoned. And although it's important to call out Republicans on their blatant abuse of what they call religious freedom, Democrats are ultimately to blame. The importance of secular governance has been a defining principle for the left, symbolic of the tolerant but rigorous commitment to truth that guide our policy and principles. The separation of church and state, fundamental to the American identity, is an equalizing principle, safeguarding the country's position as a radically egalitarian refuge for all, regardless of race or religious creed. Republicans will try to convince you that limiting religion's involvement in governance, particularly the brand of Western Judeo-Christian religion that most white Republican voters practice, when it's instead about protecting civil liberties, practicing tolerance, and maintaining the sanctity of a secular government. But corporate left-wing media has failed to meaningfully defend the truth on this front. And this brings me to a unique point of frustration with the Democratic Party. Democrats, and in particular corporate media entities that are left-aligned, have failed to speak assertively on the slew of lies and propaganda that constantly come out of the Republican Party. Time and time again, Democratic leaders let Republican officials abuse rhetorical tactics and spread misinformation to manipulate their base. And time again, we fail to stand firm against Republicans and speak precisely on their contradictions and shortcomings.
We'll get back to you, Melanie, with more on this Kevin McCarthy interview, so thank you.
There's a lot that needs to be also he misled people about fentanyl and that. There's a lot that needs to be fact-checked when it comes to what Kevin McCarthy said about fentanyl seized at the border, that fentanyl is not the #1 cause of death for Americans, as led on. But I think that it's important to have Kevin McCarthy on, but it needs to be fact-checked. A lot of what he said in that interview was not factual.
Well, in the next part of this,
it's as if Democrats do not want to expose the corruption that runs rampant in the Republican Party. And in fact, that seems to be the case. We see this with Tiffany Cross, whose recent show on MSNBC was cut short despite having high ratings and a strong viewership, with reports saying that, quote, Cross's relationship with MSNBC was becoming frayed as executives grew concerned about the anchor's willingness to address statements made by cable news hosts on other networks and indulging in commentary executives felt did not meet the standards of MSNBC or NBC News. Tiffany was infamous for aligning right-wing extremists with the Conservative Party, and she contributed to multiple projects within MSNBC that related to Black ancestry and fighting against efforts to forget or rewrite history, a white history. The likes of MSNBC and CNN ultimately failed to petition for liberal principles and practical policy, to undermine a radical but obtainable progressive future in service of conservative policies that keep the power concentrated at the top.
The fear of what Republicans will do. If you think it's bad now, I think Democrats should have been saying, wait until Republicans shut down the government to knock out Social Security and Medicare. Wait until prescription drug prices go up. But we didn't focus enough buyer power on that issue.
Ultimately, the fight for a progressive future is a collective grassroots struggle, one that corroborates its power and legitimacy from collectives standing together unilaterally against the powers that be. Stay informed, stay healthy, and stay hopeful. And the pendulum is sure to shift. This is Adrian Costa with The Breakdown. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check back for more videos. See you guys soon.